And no shade to USDC. Obviously, a great company, have done incredible things, doing a lot of great stuff on the regulatory side. So nothing against them, but if we can internalize that ourselves and then potentially figure out ways to kind of distribute that yield to JLP holders, to Jupe stakers, to other users of the products, I think that's a really powerful value prop for us.
The stablecoins could ultimately make their way out of Jupiter and into the rest of the Solana world, right? Like what would that look like, and how can you continue to bring value accrual back to Jupiter, even as this Jupe USD token ends up becoming composable with the rest of the Solana DeFi ecosystem?
Welcome back to The Roll Up.
This is your home to learn from the biggest guests, the brightest minds at the tip of innovation.
Our goal is to help spread the collective knowledge of everyone in our community.
We are breaking crypto out of its echo chamber and taking it to the real world.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy it.
Kash, welcome to the show. Yeah, man. Really cool to have you on. We've been keeping track of the Solana ecosystem for a long time. I mean, just generally, we're technology maxis. Like we're not ETH or Solana maxis. We like to take a broad stroke view of the ecosystem. And at Jupiter, you guys have done incredible things and grown incredibly quickly. It's your first time on the show. So before we jump into everything that's happening recently and the new stablecoin launch partnership with Athena, could you just give us an intro first to you? How did you end up building in this wild industry that we
it was a long and circuitous route. So I first got Bitcoin back in the free faucet days. I don't know if you remember that, back in whatever that would have been, like 2009 or something like that. You could just go to websites and click and get like full Bitcoin for free. Obviously, I lost all of that Bitcoin very quickly, but was intrigued. And it wasn't really until 2016 that I got like nerd sniped by the space. My background is in postmodern political philosophies, like what I studied in college, and I read the Ethereum white paper. And in the first paragraph, it talks about DAOs and this idea of these autonomous organizations that can reshape the fabric of society, perhaps. And I was immediately taken, got some ETH, got into the DAO, like the very first one. And as your viewers know, exactly. So it got hacked. I was like, I don't know what the hell this is. But then I got Ethereum Classic, because there was the fork, right? And I was like, this is the greatest industry ever to exist. I just get free money out of thin air. Anyway, to make a long story short, over the next 5 years, I was like following the space pretty closely, but didn't really get all the way in until 2021, when a good buddy of mine, Akshay BD, who people might know as the CMO over at the Solana Foundation, he was a poker buddy of mine. I was going to get a job at a bank. He kind of grabbed me by the shoulders and said, what the hell are you doing? Let's go do something crypto. And that's when Super Team got going. So ran Super Team, or worked on Super Team, part of the founding team, for 4 or 5 years. I was the Sherpa over there, basically helping onboard entrepreneurs and builders to Solana. And so I just did that as a nonprofit exercise for many years until the beginning of this year, when I joined Jupiter full-time as the cat herder. That's my official title, I should say. COO is only what I use because it fits on a little banner, but cat herder is my more precise title.
Wow. Okay. We might have to update. I think we just updated that in our banner, cat herder at Jupiter.
Okay, nice.
It's official. Another promotion. We're 2 promotions in.
That's pretty good. I should come on more often. This is good. I like this. Yeah. Actually, the funny thing is I was only the cat herder because we don't really do titles at Jupiter. But then we signed an MOU with the Kazakhstan Central Stock Exchange and to like tokenize equities in Kazakhstan. And they were translating my little quote into Russian. And they were like, what do we do with this? What is a cat herder? That's not a concept in the Russian language. So like, just call me COO and that's fine. So we've been running with that for press ever since.
And it's stuck. There you go.
Yeah.
Man, you guys have been doing great things. A couple of announcements just went live. You guys are doing prediction markets with Kalshi. You've got a stablecoin partnership with Athena. So all kinds of cool stuff. Can you just kind of give us a speed run of when you joined Jupiter and catch us up to where you guys are at today? Solana had a very nascent ecosystem just a few years ago, and now it's exploded. Just give us like the highlights. Where have you seen the most adoption and the most activity over the last 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, the last 18 months in particular have been crazy. So to the degree that like the broad world knows about Jupiter, oftentimes they used to know us as just a DEX aggregator, the top DEX aggregator on Solana, and the best place we would route across all liquidity pools that existed on chain, and give users the best execution price every single time. That was kind of the motto. And we became very dominant in that vertical. And then it became clear that, hey, we have a bunch of user trust. We have an absolutely cracked technical team. We should start to expand and create more value per user. And that's really when we embarked on this DeFi super app journey that we've been doing over the last 18 months. So we went from one product 18 months ago. Now we have a dozen revenue generating products, which is pretty crazy. A few kind of like small highlights. First would be our Perps Dex. Launched that, I think, just about 18 months ago, actually, maybe a little bit less. And it's been since it was launched, it's been number one by volume, certainly number one by fee paying volume. And that kind of continues to today on Solana. A lot of people use it. We only have 3 assets on there, Solana, Bitcoin, and ETH, but it's guaranteed liquidity at basically up to, I think, 20 million max size per trade. So people really dig that. And I should say that JLP, which is the liquidity provider token for Perps, is like $2.1 billion asset. And that's been really great to see people. It's the best token on Solana in many ways. That's one highlight. More recently, we launched Jupiter Mobile, which is our mobile wallet and our desktop extension. Past 1 million downloads on that. People absolutely love it. The only app that shows you your trades with P&L, with your watch list, with your portfolio across all of DeFi in one consolidated view. And then if I had to pick one last one, I would say Jupiter Lend, which we just launched in Q3, ran that up to $1 billion in supply in 8 days, fastest growing Solana protocol in history. And we did that in conjunction with the Fluid guys, who are awesome as well. And that kind of set the tone for like how we wanted to continue to grow. We realized that we have a lot of distribution. We have a lot of like user trust, and we have many 8.4 million wallets connected to Jupiter just in Q3 alone, right? And so we have a lot of users, and that is really attractive to other partners that want to enter Solana, like Fluid. Or like Athena, who is the more recent partnership that we announced. And we think that's going to continue on. Same thing with Kalshi, with the prediction markets that we just launched 2 days ago. They want to work with the people that have the user trust and that have that distribution, and that's Jupiter.
Asset management redefined, built on ERC 7621. Standardize how you launch, manage, and trade on-chain baskets. This is Alvara, the standard for on-chain asset management. Blockchain shortcuts, templates, and widgets. Launch without friction. For builders, by builders. Visit enso.build. Hibachi. Provable. Trade perps with speed and security. Earn rewards. Visit hibachi.xyz. Trading on fire.
I want to dig particularly into the Athena partnership and what you guys are doing with Jupe USD. But you mentioned the user number. Did you say 8.3 million? Did I get that right?
You did not. 8.4 million. 8.4 million. Yeah. Let's not be bearish now,
That's 8.3 is fun. 8.4. That's what we're at. Because we were just talking about the state of crypto report that came out of A16Z. They estimate that there's 40 to 70 million monthly active users on chain. This is kind of like the most active subset of users. They're bridging, they're using the apps, they're actively self-custodying, and they're using these things actively. Monthly active users. And then, we've got 181 million monthly active addresses. These are number of distinct active addresses across blockchains. And then we've got 716 million global crypto owners. These guys might be on centralized exchange, might own crypto in a centralized account, not self-custody, not bridging. But 8.4 million out of the 40 to 70 million that are on chain is, it's incredible market share that to have, upwards of just, whether it's 15, 20% or so, 10, 15% of the global population that is using these things on chain. And so I think that speaks to Solana's distribution. It speaks to Jupiter's distribution. And it means that now, like you're doing, you guys have the opportunity to launch these verticalized products, these adjacent product offerings that are all complementary. And we see a lot of teams go after this super app concept. Few of them are going to survive. Few of them are going to capitalize on the opportunity. They need the distribution that you guys have. So I think this speaks to the opportunity here, and also what you guys have at your fingertips. Was there an inflection point before we get into the stablecoin conversation that you guys saw, hey, we've reached an inflection point, we reached a critical mass of users that are familiar with Jupiter, they're on Jupiter, now is when we can embark on this broader user journey? Did that happen, or was it just kind of more gradual, an evolution, one product launch after the other?
Yeah, it really was a slow and hard grind, right? Especially in the wake of FTX, which everyone remembers is quite a painful experience for anyone who was on Solana. That was pretty brutal, right? So it goes down to $8, proclaimed dead by basically every project that's out there. And at the time, a lot of projects ended up leaving, right? They're like, well, there's no future on Solana, and so we'll go somewhere else. But Jupiter never did, stayed on. And then from there, just like as things steadily got better, Jupiter kind of grew along with it. There was no in particular point where things went up, but just to put some numbers to it, like we're seeing ridiculous growth every quarter. So like versus last quarter, our volumes are up 70%. It's like somewhere in the neighborhood of $240 billion in volume just in Q3 alone, right? Our TVL grew by 42% in Q3 relative to Q2. So I guess it feels kind of gradual because it's just like this constant growth curve that's just up and to the right. And yeah, we're lucky to have it. I think that Perps was the first big bet. Seeing that Perps could work, that we can kind of expand the product offering and retain those users and kind of convert them and upsell them, cross-sell them, et cetera. That was the first indication that, hey, this can really work. And that's when I think we went all in and started doing all the different products that exist.
Yeah, incredible. Okay, let's dig into one of these products, which is the Jupe USD stablecoin in partnership with Athena Labs. I'm going to read off just a couple of things here that stick out. This new token will serve as the core liquidity and collateral asset across the entire Jupiter ecosystem, including perpetual futures, lending, and spot trading platforms. Maybe you can just speak to, the scale, but also the effect of unifying liquidity in your own stablecoin. Maybe just can you describe what it means to unify liquidity in a stablecoin and what that means for the platform overall? And then for it to be a stablecoin of your own choosing, right? It's not a stablecoin you guys are importing from somewhere else, or no, you're the issuers in collaboration with Athena. What does it mean to do this in general for the platform? And then what does this mean for it to be your stablecoin?
I think it means a whole hell of a lot at a few different levels, right? So I'm fond of saying that crypto has product market fit across three categories, and that's payments, profits, and Ponzi's. And obviously, Jupiter does not really get involved in the Ponzi side of things, and we're pretty well established in the profit side, right, around trading, yield generation, et cetera. It was really payments that was the big missing piece for us. And so for us, it kind of fills in this kind of critical hole that we had in this DeFi super app vision. The goal of Jupiter right now is anything that you want to do on chain, you should be able to say, just use Jupiter, to a friend. I want to send money around the world, just use Jupiter. That's the kind of goal that we're going after. And payments are obviously a giant business, right? $300 billion plus of stablecoins globally. I think pretty much everyone knows that number is going to at least $1 trillion, including the Treasury Department put out a report in that same direction. And so I think we're really still in the early stages of stablecoin adoption. And for Jupiter to have its own branded stablecoin is a great way for us to build up even more trust, to capitalize on the existing trust that we have and build up more trust here. And then also kind of control and internalize some of the revenue and the growth within the products. Just like for a little bit of context, inside of JLP, well, to zoom out for a second, our perps product is not an order book based perps. It's an AMM based perps, a little bit like GMX if your audience is more familiar with like the EVM landscape. And the JLP token, like I said, is $2.1 billion or so in AUM, and something like $750 million of that is in stablecoins. That's all in USDC right now. And no shade to USDC, obviously a great company, have done incredible things, doing a lot of great stuff on the regulatory side. So nothing against them, but if we can internalize that ourselves and then potentially figure out ways to kind of distribute that yield to JLP holders, to Jupe stakers, to other users of the products, I think that's a really powerful value prop for us. And it allows us to kind of have full control end to end of the spectrum, right? Apple famously was really big on this. And we don't want anyone to open up the computers to touch the motherboard. Obviously, in DeFi, it doesn't work that same way, right? You're open and composable by default. But that doesn't mean that there aren't opportunities to kind of control the brand experience and the product experience at every level of the stack. So we're very optimistic about how fast we'll be able to grow. Again, we have a very large number of stablecoins directly in our protocols already that we can start to convert out into our own stablecoin. And I think that gives us a real leg up in addition to the distribution that we have and the trust that we have and so on.
Very cool. This is an approach that it's not just you guys, right? Right. This is an approach that perpetuals exchanges are taking overall, where they're seeing that they have the majority of their collateral in one particular stable asset, be it USDC, and then they're innovating on that, and they're going and they're launching their own stable coins. On one hand, we're internalizing this into our own engine, but on the other hand, we're deploying more and more stablecoins left and right. There's a new stablecoin launching every day.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think is going to be the result of this Cambrian explosion of stablecoins? You know, is it an opportunity for middleware and infrastructure to come in and kind of unify this once again? You know, we don't want to reach kind of the same fragmentation that we have in Ethereum world. You know, across all the L2s and, you know, wrapped, staked, ETH, this version, that version. Like, how can we bring this all together so that, you know, we have one uniform liquidity layer, we have uniformity across our industry, and we're not confusing newcomers into the space?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great point. And I think this balkanization of liquidity, as my buddy Ramsey at the Solana Foundation would say, can be a real problem, right? And I think the real short-term effect is that most of these stablecoins are not going to last very long, right? In the same way that everyone's launching a meme coin launchpad, you know, 3 to 6 months ago, and basically, you know, a handful of them still kind of remain standing. I think stablecoins will have the same opportunity, where many people see the attractiveness of the business model and the power of the narrative, and they want to get on top of that, right? But the truth is, when you have a lot of divergence, you inevitably have to have some convergence back afterwards. And I do think that that's going to happen on the stablecoin side. From kind of an industry level, the two things that are really incumbent upon us are, one, more experiments in terms of unifying that liquidity. There's stuff like this on Solana right now, and other places where you're kind of collecting a bunch of different stablecoins under the hood and then kind of treating them as equal. I am not as bullish on that approach, honestly, because I think different stablecoins have different risk assumptions, and it's not always fair to say that they should be one-to-one. So I think the more likely path is that there's pressure put on the industry to build really high-quality stable swaps that have exceptionally low slippage, right? The problem is not too many stablecoins; it's too much slippage as you're trying to move between them. Because then, if I'm going from $1,000 of, you know, let's say Jupe USD to $1,000 of USDC, I want $1,000 of USDC back, right? I don't want to get $996 back, and that can really break the experience. And I think there's great, you know, demonstrations in this direction already. A major credit to our friends over at Fluid, who, like I said, are helping build Jupiter Lend. On Fluid right now on Ethereum, there are times where it's less than 1 BIP. Oftentimes 10 pips is the only kind of fee or slippage that you pay between major stablecoins. That requires deep liquidity across the different stablecoins. And what Jupe USD is going to have is, you know, at least $750 million of liquidity just from the JLP pool alone, right? So we feel very confident that we'll have deep enough liquidity to have exceptionally low slippage between stablecoin transfers. And that's going to allow us to kind of persevere over the long run.
It feels like we're reaching a tipping point where DeFi is becoming more capital efficient than Wall Street. And once we reach that point, that's when I think it becomes more of a risk to Wall Street institutions to not be on chain, right? Like, if they can get a fraction of a BIP, like you're saying, if they can get, you know, pips on chain by going back and forth in between assets, whether that's, you know, it could be tokenized stocks at a certain point, right? And ultimately, this could be what they're trading, and they're going back and forth between, you know, whether it be stable coins, tokenized stocks, all these different asset classes that ultimately will be on chain and available. It becomes greater. It becomes better price discovery, better liquidity, better prices, and more cost effective for them to execute their trading experience on chain rather than continue to do so off chain, even though where they're being forced to innovate. Have you had any conversations with Wall Street institutions or any of these you know, asset managers and trading firms that are kind of are they seeing it this way, or generally what's the vibe and the sentiment that you're hearing from these guys?
So yes, across all three. I mean, again, because of Jupiter's kind of position in the ecosystem, we're oftentimes the first port of call for those kind of partners. And you know what I've noticed over the last 2 years or so is that crypto as a technology cannot really be sold, right? It really has to be bought. Like, for me to go to you and try to explain and kind of force it down your throat is very hard. And you know, God bless the people that are doing that work in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere. But I do think that like we're going to actually see a lot of adoption is going to be when people see the users, they see the product benefits, and they see the volumes really starting to happen there. I do think that FX in general has long been the kind of, you know, white whale of the industry. And again, there's like really cool things happening there. Shout out to Altitude and the Squads family who've got a really great business offering for euros to USDC and stuff. And I think you're just going to see more and more of that, where they do have to kind of cannibalize their own revenues when they come on chain, right? So that you're asking them to give up something, and the thing they have to get in return has to be big enough to justify that trade-off, at least on the Wall Street side. Certainly on the capital allocator side, there's no doubt that they're all coming on chain. Many of them are talking to us and other major protocols. I don't think that they're quite that far on the risk curve just yet. And here I'm talking about the multi-billion-dollar funds, right? Not the $10 to $100 million liquid funds in crypto. I think that we still have a little bit of a while to go, but for the first time, they're the ones knocking on the door. They're the ones asking for questions. I mean, one of the biggest banks in the world showed up in my email like a week ago, be like, "Hey, we'd love to urgently talk about some new product ideas."
Just cold outreach.
They got a little intro from somebody else, but
Okay.
yeah, I didn't know that it was coming. It just like showed up in my inbox, like, "Hey, connected you to," I won't say who it was, but every one of your viewers has heard of this entity, right? And so we're starting to see a lot more of that appetite come in, but it is incumbent on the technology continuing to get better, right? It's I think everyone in the TradFi world knows that crypto is still not ready for prime time, literally right now, but now everyone can see the path to get there in the next 12, 24, 36 kind of months.
Yeah, beautiful. Man, it's exciting. I'm dying to know what this page is. Best of luck in that BD journey.
Thank you. Yeah. No paperwork signed or anything, so please don't buy jupe on the back of that just yet. But
that's how it starts, man. That's how it starts. Very, very cool. Okay, I'd love to dig into a little bit more of the nuance in Jupe USD.
Sure.
You got Athena as sort of this collaboration partner, and we've seen this. We've seen them do this with some of their other partners. But could you just walk through what the journey is to ultimately spin up your own stablecoin? What is the role that Athena plays? What is the role that Jupiter plays? And how do you collectively bring Jupe USD to life?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's a bit of a funny story because we were at least a month and a half, maybe 2 months into building it out ourselves, fully by ourselves, right? In order to do so, you need different entities that have these open-ended fund licenses. You have to get these regulatory approvals. Like it's a pretty complicated legal and regulatory matter, even outside of the tech side of things, right? And that just takes a lot of time to get the necessary licenses and so on. And we had been working with a number of great partners, including Securitize and BlackRock, who are the ones who make the BIDL token, which also backs USDB from Athena. And it wasn't until we saw the hyperliquid USDH proposal process that it really occurred to us of like, hey, maybe we should partner with the best. We just did this with Fluid, the best guys in lending. Worked out very well. Maybe we can try it doing it again. So I reached out to Guy, and we had a few calls, and honestly, within less than 2 weeks, we met up in Korea and some other places, and within 2 weeks, the deal was signed and we were ready to go. In terms of the actual kind of rollout, it is a little bit different for us than it is for some of their other partners. Athena's contracts are not natively on Solana today, which means you cannot mint and redeem, and that can create risk or make certain people uncomfortable and kind of reduces the way that you think about a particular stablecoin. So on Solana, Jupiter is going to be building the contracts in collaboration with Athena, of course, but we know Solana, so we're going to be building the contracts. Athena is going to be managing all the operations around it. They're also going to be great design partners to let us know what works, what doesn't. They're working, helping us work with Anchorage and many other great partners to ensure integration across major custodians so people have access to it. And they'll be, also great kind of partners on the collateral side. To start, Jupe USD will be fully backed by USTDB, which is basically a tokenized treasury product. And then over time, we're going to increase the balance to also have USDE, which is their delta neutral stablecoin that most people know. It's the third biggest stablecoin in crypto. And the reason we want to be able to play with those numbers is to kind of generate more outsized yield, especially if we can find creative ways to kind of distribute that yield to partners, stakeholders, and anyone else that needs it. So our job is building the contracts, figuring out the distribution and the product integrations. Their jobs are bringing best-in-class expertise around stablecoins and managing the day-to-day operations. And by the way, the operations is no small feat, I should point out as well. You have to defend pegs. You have to ensure that the mint and redeem and the secondary windows are working at all times. And there's quite a bit of stuff under the hood.
Relay, low fees, lightning speed, and the power of multi-chain at your fingertips. Instant multi-chain payments. Choose any token on any chain. 75 plus networks supported. More than 5 million users. 8 billion plus volume processed. 70 million plus transactions. Fast, reliable, everywhere. Start swapping today. Only on Relay. The wait is over. The Talus testnet is live. Be part of the revolution. Join now at testnet.talus.network.
Got it. And I think I saw in the announcement this is going to roll out sometime in Q4, and that's because you guys are going to build these preliminary contracts on Solana that make this stablecoin available. So all the minting and redeeming is still going to take place on Athena's side, but you guys are going to build the contracts to make sure that we can mint and redeem on Solana. Is that the right setup?
Yeah, so the mint and redeem will be for JUP-USD on Solana itself. They'll be based on Athena's contracts, of course, because we're using Athena collateral as the underlying. But they'll be, our contracts for JUP-USD. So JUP-USD will be natively mintable and redeemable right there on Solana.
Got it. Okay. And when it comes to yield, I think this is what a lot of the users are looking for. We've got this pool of treasury collateral that's sitting there. These treasuries are obviously earning yield. What's the process to ultimately pass that over to users? Is it regulatory available now? Is there intermediaries that are kind of taking a cut of this yield? Can you just describe the process as we ultimately, we get the money printer printing money on these treasuries, but then how does that end up flowing into users?
Yeah, there are a few different people that along the way will take very small chunks of the yield. I would say, in here I'm talking like single bips, typically, right? So typically, whoever's managing that primary mint and redeem window or your primary custodian might take a little bit. Biddle and Securitize and those guys who actually create the tokenized treasury product that underlies it all, they might take a very small piece. But the vast majority will flow to us and Athena, and we have our own kind of private commercial arrangement on that side. In terms of kind of how it goes out to others, the Genius regulation that passed in America recently said you cannot be a Genius compliant stablecoin if you are distributing yield directly to users. And so I think on our end, it'll probably look a little bit different. In the JLP pool, for example, it makes sense for us to just like add in more money to that pool's rewards and to boost the native APY. I mean, right now I think it's like 45% or something like that. At other times it's down to 15%. It kind of varies, but it'll be kind of a consistent boost on that yield. And then there's other ways, right? We can take that revenue and perhaps do giveaway programs, trading competitions, rewards for stakers. All these kinds of things are on the table. We haven't finalized any of them just yet. But yeah, there's a bunch of different ways in which you can make sure that everyone is able to kind of enjoy the upside of that yield.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think this is an incredible innovation because you're also going to be bringing a lot of the products, the structured products like the Biddle from BlackRock, Securitize, that are currently underpinning Athena's stablecoin and helping to collateralize this industry. We're going to be bringing that over to Solana. Is there network effects that are going to kind of proliferate outwards from here? Obviously, there's minting and redeeming that's going to be taking place. Athena is helping with that. It's going to be taking place on Jupiter. But the stable coins could ultimately make their way out of Jupiter and into the rest of the Solana world, right? Like what would that look like, and how can you continue to bring value accrual back to Jupiter, even as this JUP-USD token ends up becoming composable with the rest of the Solana DeFi ecosystem?
Yeah, as my friend Lily, who's president of the Solana Foundation, likes to say, a good asset should be everywhere, right? Like that is what makes it a good asset. It has to be available and used by as broad a base of people as possible. And certainly what we hope for JUP-USD. So we'd love to collaborate with all other Solana projects on making sure that JUP-USD is available within them, whether it's as a collateral asset, a borrowable asset, as a trading pair, or whatever else it might be. From a yield perspective, it doesn't actually change. So much in the same way that Circle collects that yield on USDC, no matter where it lives, JUP-USD will do the same. So that yield will still ultimately be coming to our entities, and we'll have different ways to distribute it. There's a bunch of interesting ideas, and we've seen other like fun experiments for teams who might share yield with companies who hold that particular stablecoin on their balance sheet as an incentivization to hold their particular stable and increase TVL. It might be that we can use some of that yield to produce more kind of win-win situations with other partners, again, maybe cross-platform trading things or with meme coin communities or whoever else it might be. But the goal is certainly to have it be diffused and everywhere. I would say we mostly think about this in terms of stages though, right? So the first stage is, hey, let's just get it to really work in our product suite. Let's make sure it's the stablecoin of choice in our lending product, in our perpetuals product, in our wallet products, while all other stablecoins are still available. Ultimately, going back to that idea of, DeFi is not like Apple, you don't want to constrict user choice, right? So USDC, everything else is still going to be there for sure. But what are the ways that we can nudge people to starting to use it? And then I think once we kind of figure out that first stage, once we have a little bit of lendiness built into the stablecoin, then I think we'll start to think about more aggressive growth and other broader plans. So our plan is not to try to dethrone USDC on day one by any means.
Okay, that makes sense. But it is gradual. And like you said, we've now seen a couple of these Athena powered stablecoin launches, we've seen how they can grow and how they can develop. And so we've got a little bit more of an understanding about how we can scale these stable coins overall. I just want to quickly recap some of the things that you've mentioned. It's in terms of the integrations of the stablecoin across Jupiter's products, collateral on perps, liquidity in Jupiter Lend, trading on Swap Pro and mobile, and integration into new products that you guys are building. There's a little piece here, and I'm just reading off of Jupiter's announcement. It says a stablecoin for everything Jupiter, including Jupe holders. This feels like maybe you're pointing or alluding to something. What could Jupe USD do for Jupe holders?
I think it could do a few different things. At the risk of kind of front running our own announcement, I won't be super specific here, but I will say, like at the broadest level, Jupiter has a 50% Jupe accumulation plan, where 50% of our revenues from Jupiter go to programmatic open market purchases of Jupe via this thing called the Litterbox Trust. So more revenues is good for Jupiter holders.
Every cat herder needs a litter box.
That's right. It's I swear to God, we made the decision on what to call it, or not us, but like with our partners, what to like name it a few minutes before we actually announced it. And we're like, where does a cat keep his shit? It's in the litter box trust, right? So that's actually how that, and now it has like 125 million Jupe tokens or something in it. It's like little jokes that kind of get us through the day. Anyway, so it's great from Jupe holders from that perspective. It's great from increasing the brand trust, especially when you talk to TradFi and traditional capital allocators. Stablecoins is a narrative they understand. It's a narrative that helps build trust. And if you have a large stablecoin, that is great. And especially if we can get it up over $1 billion, right? Because Jupiter has 3 tokens over $1 billion right now. This would be our 4th. And so that's really, an exciting kind of way to ensure that awareness continues to grow and adoption grows of the rest of the product suite. And then finally, you can imagine that there are certain perks that we might be able to offer Jupe holders and Jupe stakers somewhat uniquely that other stablecoins cannot, right? Because we have this kind of vibrant ecosystem of stakeholders that we might want to reward in different ways.
Very cool. Could you just zooming out a little bit from the stablecoin in particular, for people that are just learning about Jupiter's ecosystem and kind of understanding the nuances, these three tokens, 4 tokens soon, over $1 billion market cap. Can you just describe how these tokens interact, how they work together to ultimately form this Jupiter universe?
Absolutely, yeah. So I call it the Holy Trinity right now. I'll have to come up with whatever a four-sided, the Holy Cube.
Four-sided Trinity.
Yeah, the Holy Square maybe is where we go afterwards. But we have not 3 stablecoins, but 3 tokens, right? So we have Jupe, which is the kind of primary token. That's the kind of governance and ownership token of the Jupiter protocol that receives 50% of the revenues that I mentioned earlier. That's market cap, I don't know today, but it's something in the $1.4 billion range. We have a second token, which is JLP, which is our perps liquidity provider token. That one is at about 2.1 billion. And then we have Jupe Sol, which is the highest yielding Solana LST, and that's at about 1.1 billion or so. They all interact kind of in productive ways, I would say. So Jupe Sol, not only does it give great yield to the users because we don't make any money on it, but the Sol goes to our validator. We have the second biggest validator on Solana is run by Jupiter. And that's really important because on Solana, there's something called stake-weighted QoS, which basically means the more stake you have on your validator, the more efficiently and effectively you can land transactions. And on Solana, that really matters because it's very fast and there's a lot of demand for block space and so on and so forth. And so Jupe Sol being so large actually makes the rest of the products better because we have a competitive advantage in landing transactions that other people cannot match. JLP feeds in because it's, by having such deep liquidity on JLP, the perps platform can offer massive size with guaranteed liquidity, right? Every trade that you open on Jupiter, you will be able to close. And that's not true for other perps platforms, right? Especially if they're order book based, especially if you're doing it size, and especially if you're doing it during volatile times. So that draws more people in as well. And then of course, Jupe itself is the thing that kind of accrues value across the ecosystem. And the better Jupe does, the more people know about Jupe Sol, the more people that know about JLP, and vice versa. So in that way, they all kind of support each other across the product stack.
Nice. Just looking at JLP now, this thing basically looks like the S&P. It's up and to the right, not financial advice.
I mean, listen, I don't give financial advice. I'm not trying to do that, but I will say that JLP is the most beloved token on Solana. If people who are watching this have not seen it yet, the alpha is the #1 most popular trade from liquid funds over the past year on Solana has been buying JLP and then hedging the underlying. So you have a delta neutral position, and JLP, I don't know what the number is, you can tell me, I think it's like 40 or 50% APY right now. It's been as low as like 14, 15%, but you get 15% risk-free if you run that trade. So people really love it at size, I will say. If you go and multiply JLP right now on Jupiter Lend, you get like 220% APY, I think right now, something like that, which is pretty incredible. So it is a real powerhouse of a token. It's in my mind almost like the platonic ideal of what a token should be. Real yield, inherent yield. It gives you diversified exposure. It's very liquid, so you can get in and out of it. I don't mean to be too much of a sales guy. I just genuinely love JLP.
No, it's the philosophy background that's coming out. This platonic ideal of a token.
There you go. Yeah, I came to at least a few classes in college, I guess.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Is there a benefit that by running the Jupe USD stablecoin and deploying this and getting this to scale, will it help this trade, this looping strategy that you're describing, JLP?
Absolutely, yeah. So it'll help because it'll add in additional yield native. So most of the yield in JLP comes from perps trading fees. 75% of all perps trading fees, and again, we're the largest perps product on Solana, they go to JLP holders. 25% comes back to the Jupiter protocol. But in addition, we actually have a JLP loans product. So if you have JLP, you can borrow USDC against it at really competitive rates with like a 95% liquidation threshold or something like that. And we actually native stake a bunch of the SOL that's in the JLP pool that's unutilized by traders to our validator that again generates extra yield. If we replace USDC with Jupe USD inside of JLP, it'll only further increase the yield. Now, the exact percentages and how that breakdown is going to happen, we haven't figured out yet with the JLP community. So there's still conversations to be had there. But that would be one additional way to ensure that, hey, even if trading volume goes down, you still have loans providing lending a yield to it. You have native stake providing yield to it. And now you have a stablecoin yield coming in as well from treasuries. So that's the way that we kind of ensure that JLP remains robust. And again, the more robust it is, the more perps trading happens because it's deeper guaranteed liquidity.
Very cool. Very cool. Kash, man, it's been so much fun. There's a couple more things I think our teams got teed up in the back, and it has to do with this announcement video where you made an impressive debut as an actor. Let's see.
Is the Jupe USD announcement video?
Yeah. Can we play this? I think our team has it ready. Kash, I'm sure you've seen this. If you click on the output in the bottom left, you should be able to. I think we're going to be playing here in just a moment.
Like it's actually crazy. It's like biggest Solana DeFi protocol, fastest growing stablecoin, best of both worlds coming together. Like I swear to God, dude, DeFi up only from here.
I swear to God, DeFi up only.
Are we ready
from here. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I will.
I'm Guy, founder of Athena. At the moment, sort of Athena's balance within the market is roughly around 5%.
Me and Guy got together at 8 a.m. during Token 2049 because we both had like very busy days afterwards. The video was unscripted. We just kind of like rocked up, had some coffee, and then just said, "Okay, let's shoot." This is what came. So I'm talking to Guy off camera here, basically, and then I just kind of freestyled on the other end of it.
Are a critical component of that. So we couldn't ask for a better partner than Athena in this, right? They've been blazing.
This is your cameo. This is Hollywood's looking at this right now for your next role.
This is two top tier.
Can I tell you, actually, it's a real problem. I'm flying to Bombay on Friday night to do a shoot, which will be my first like on-stage shoot with like a full cast of characters. So if you like the Kash Dhanda acting career, stay tuned to Twitter. You'll see more of that soon.
Ooh, there you go. Let's go, Kash.
I think estimates are around 20 to 25 trillion.
It was a lot of fun to make. Shout out to the boys at Goatfish who put this together for us as well.
Okay, Goatfish. That's a baller name right there.
It's exciting to us.
Yeah. And what's it like been working with Guy? I mean, he's obviously just a savage killer. I mean, when it comes to stablecoins, built the third largest stablecoin, and you guys working together now. What's that experience been like?
It's also about making
the rest. I think that before I only have known Guy since we started working together, so I've known him for whatever a month or so. Before that, I admired him. I think like anybody in crypto admires Athena as like one of the best executing products in the space and one of the best executing teams in the space. And I found him, like as we worked together, to be an exceptionally clear thinker, a great partner. There during the negotiation phases, there were a number of sticking points. Like we both have different kind of objectives that we wanted to try to meet in the middle. And I found him to be like very understanding and kind of open about what his aims were and kind of what was needed on our end, and just like the way that he and the rest of the team does business. Nick and Jane and everybody else there too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Very, very cool, man.
I will say, I don't like standing next to him though, because he's like a very, beefy, jacked guy. I assume he's like one of those like 5 a.m. ice bath kind of guys, and like I'm not. So like when we were next to each other, like for the recording, I was like, I just keep him in a different frame than me. I don't want to, my vanity cannot take it.
Man, oh, it's so funny. I love it, Kash. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. I feel free to wrap us up. We do have, if you got another minute, we've got a question from the audience here.
Sure.
Let's see how much alpha we can share. Okay, this guy, new type, hit us up in the chat. He said, "Could Jupiter take a page from Binance Alpha?" Example here. I stake Jupe and can get airdrop some of the most successful meme coins that get launched on Solana.
I will say that we already have some of that. So Jupe Stakers got access to the Huma presale, which by the time it opened up was something like a 5x. Because they got in at a $75 million valuation, FDV. So that worked out great for them. Rect, which is a brand coin people might know. People got an airdrop if you were a Jupe staker. And then most importantly, the Meteora TGE is happening tomorrow. Meteora being the top AMM on Solana. 3% of the total supply of MET is going to Jupe stakers. So if you're a Jupe staker, you will be rewarded. But I'll give this a little bit of alpha. ICOs are very hot right now. We've been working for months on an ICO platform that's going to launch in November. And the first launch is going to be coming up, I think, in mid-November, roughly. And I think Jupe stakers will be very excited about it. And so as we have more ICOs, I think Jupe stakers will continue to be excited about what we're trying to do.
Wow. Guys, Jupe stakers are winning. If you're not staking your Jupe right now, I don't know what you're doing. You should probably hop on that. It might already be too late, but maybe Kash can squeeze you in.
Yeah, I think you have some time before the November one. I think we'll take a snapshot a little bit closer to the actual date.
Okay, there you go, guys. If you're not already staking Jupe, we know how much the last ICO platform got acquired for. This one coming up is going to be just as exciting. And so, yeah, there's new type in the chat. Dang, I need to stake Jupe. Come on, man. Let's go stake your Jupe. Shout out new type. There you go. Draw the alpha out of Kash. Wow, Kash, you're the chat of the day. Drop an alpha. Everyone comes on and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to run the announcement. I don't want to drop too much. I don't want to say too much." Kash comes on, drops bombs. There you go. Stake Jupe, no doubt.
My pleasure, man. It's the benefit of being up for 14 straight hours working, I guess, is maybe my PR filter is not what it would have been in the morning. But
absolutely
that's
not.
fine.
This is the result of shipping and testing and prod, as we do in this industry. Kash, man, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure. Best of luck. Meteora TGE tomorrow, new ICO platform in November, and Jupe USD launching Q4 in collaboration with Athena. Keep up the great work, man. It's absolutely cool to see the progress.
Thanks, buddy. Likewise. It's been great to see the roll-up continue to grow.
Appreciate it, man. We'll have you on again soon. See you next time.
Please, anytime.
Love it. See ya.